Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Graham. This is Shed Junction. Just a quick introduction to me and kind of my experience with model railways. Now, around about probably 3 years before COVID, my other half bought me a Flying Scotsman Hornby train set. It's a 00 gauge train and just round and round in circles. But it kind of reignited my interest in railways. I've often travelled on travelled on trains. I had an office, not particularly big, 3 metres by 3 metres maybe, and that had to be kind of an office as well, well, supposedly. So looking at YouTube channels, as you do, getting more familiar with the hobby, I kind of discovered that 00 gauge would probably be a bit too big for the space that I had, at least for the amount of track I wanted to lay. I always had this great image of, a dream of kind of running trains all over the place and, just having a large layout. But the space I was in wasn't particularly large. So N-gauge was the choice I made. So I bought a load of N-gauge track. And doing research, was Flexi track seemed to be the better one to go for. Code 55, I jumped straight into Code 55 and just got on with it. I didn't really have a plan of what I wanted to do, although I wanted baseboards all the way around the room. I didn't want one where I was kind of in the middle of the track, so you had to duck under. But I did want continuous running. So it gave me a bit of a headache. It's where I became fully aware of the issues around the reverse loop. So I just wired it up, and every time the train went over the points to go around the loop, it shorted. Bit more research, ended up buying a little electronic gizmo that kind of did the reverse loop electronics for me. That worked fine. So that carried on for a few years. I bought, I'd set up scenery, trees, half a dozen locos, carriages, all sorts going on. And then COVID hit. So you might be thinking, that's great. If you work from home, which I had to, you'd be able to kind of spend more time on a model railway. Well, no, actually what happened was the space I was in, the office I was in, actually had to become an office, and I didn't leave myself enough room to have a desk. It was all three of the walls that could be used were being used for the baseboards. It couldn't really have a desk in the middle of all that. It just wouldn't work. So I had to rip it up. Now I managed to obviously save the rolling stock, but track, well, I couldn't really. Code 55 glued down, no way. I managed to save all the points, so I've got those still, but I couldn't save the track. So fast forward, 7 years later maybe, I've retired, and we've moved house. We've downsized from a house to a bungalow. Where I'm sitting now is a cabin I've just had built. It measures 5 metres by 3.4 metres, so a reasonable size. Now I did spend a few days umming whether I should bin all the N-gauge stuff and move to 00 gauge, because you got a greater choice of locos, and I think I think personally they're a kind of a nicer model than the N-gauge. It wasn't until I got, so anyway, that all aside, I thought, what do I buy some N-gauge track and remind myself of the size. So I bought, and I got the Flying Scotsman set out to have a look at, and wow, N-gauge is a lot smaller. However, when I sort of pros and cons of it, I'd have to buy track anyway, apart from maybe 15 points that I've saved. 00 gauge, I'd have to buy the locos again and carriages, so all my N-gauge stuff would actually just be stuck in a box. And so N-gauge it is. So this layout is going to be N-gauge. So you probably see behind me, I've managed to build some baseboards. Now, all my DIY skills are kind of okay, but I've never been particularly good at woodwork, even at school. When back in the days when we had woodwork lessons, I was always a little bit better at metalwork, which is probably no use to me at the moment. So again, YouTube videos looking at baseboards, how high do you do them, how wide do you do them, how long do you have baseboards. I looked at sites that you got pre-cut plywood, hardwood plywood is what I've settled for. So I priced up getting it pre-cut because I knew I thought to myself, it's going to be a nightmare me cutting. So I put some footage while I'm chatting here. I did, in the end, have to cut the boards up because pre-cut stuff is really expensive. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember now. I think what you see here, like 5 meters there, and I'm going to end up with 3 meters behind me and probably 1.5 meters there, and maybe a little peninsula here. I mean, all the hardboard and the wood for the frame cost 130 quid from Wicks. I mean, I priced up well over £200 for getting it cut yourself, cutting it for you, and then you'd have to buy all the frame and everything anyway. And then getting custom made baseboards, again, hundreds of pounds. So what I decided to do is buy myself a new power tool. If in doubt, get yourself a power tool. I find if I've got any DIY project to do, if I buy a new power tool, say for instance, this may have cost £300. I spend just over £100 on it, and £75 on a power tool, I can do it. So I'm really struggling with what to do with the layout. I've had for some time, I can't remember what the name of the software is. I got a Mac, so it's Railroad Modeler, maybe it's called, which is, you can do your layouts on there. But to be honest, I don't think my imagination is good enough to be able to. So the last layout I did, I just built the baseboards and then just started to lay track. And now that worked for me. Now I know there's a lot of things I do, and I say that are going to go against the grain for professional modelers or real enthusiasts, because I was reading about rule 1, just do whatever you want. Like, I was trying to decide on what era I should base the tracks on, what kind of train era and also era in time, because as a kid growing up in the 70s into 80s, a lot of travel on trains. Mum and Dad didn't have a car, so I was kind of on the buses or trains, and we used to go to watch football, and I'd get on the train when I was about 15, 16, Harlow Town, where I grew up, go straight into Liverpool Street, and I always remember getting on slam door trains. What I'll do in a future vlog, I'll show you what trains and what locos and what carriages I've got. Now, my background is in IT, so what drew me back into model railways is I had no idea about DCC. So the further I looked into that, like several years ago, is I could see that train automation was kind of coming sort of mainstream almost. So that excited me a great deal. So I bought back then I bought a Roco Z21, the basic model. I'm looking to get iTrain to run some automation. I looked at JMRI, but to me that's a bit like what work used to be like, setting up configuration files, and I want pointy clicky. I want iTrain maybe. I've looked a great deal at the Lodi stuff, so DCC train automations, they're the importer for that, so that really has got my interest. However, it is expensive, and I don't know the size of my layout really justify it. So I'll just give you a quick view of the baseboards at the moment. Right, so I've literally just finished this bit today. So these are 4 foot long and 2 foot deep baseboards. So as you see, I'll come around here. I'm trying to keep the curves as kind of natural as I can. I don't want any tight curves. Here go down this way, and then it sort of comes out there. Now I've added that bit because I do want it a continuous loop, so I want to kind of come enough space to come around here and back again. Here I'm thinking of having a peninsula, maybe 4 or 5 feet out, 2 or 3 foot wide there. So that's the whole cabin where I am. So doors there, window there, desk there. This is all the stuff I've kind of got out of storage because we've only just moved in November, and I've only just had everything out. So through there's my Z21. Here's a little kind of view of everything I've got at the moment, all scattered about all over the place. They're really nice carriages. Got a Castle class there, which is got sound to it, but that's the only one that's got sound at the moment. Although I do really like sound. There's my turnouts that I've salvaged. So that's an idea of the space. So at the moment I don't really know what I'm doing with the layout. Like I say, I've just got a bit more baseboard to go like behind where the camera is now, and I've got a desk going in there, so it'll be like a U-shaped with a peninsula in the middle. Things will change, but like I say, I've used Railway Modeler and I cut to do like a basic kind of layout, but it's not until I start laying track that things will become clearer. So thanks very much for watching the first video in this series of me starting out again with Engage. Thanks to everybody who's currently subscribed, and those people are, I think, mainly on the back of me mentioning it in vlogs on my other channel and on my Facebook group for caravanning. And I think also Pete from Shed Junction has been socialising a bit there first. Thanks, Pete. I'm going to the Ali Pali show, which is I think March the 13th maybe. Railway model show there. So if any of you are there, if you see me, give us a shout. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.